Oh, to be a fly on the wall. That's how journalists feel about high-profile meetings between world leaders. For Beck Dorey-Stein, it was a reality. She was a stenographer in the Obama White House. Always armed with a microphone, she was responsible for keeping the historical records straight. Beck was also there for the opening days of the Trump administration. Now she's written a book called From the Corner of the Oval, and my colleagues Christian Fraser and Katty Kay spoke to her for their programme Beyond 100 Days.
What is the role of the White House stenographer? What are you employed to do?
The White House stenographer is responsible for all of the transcripts. So whenever the president is in the same room as any member of the press, we're there as well to make sure he's not misquoted. So we have a recorder, we have a microphone, we make sure the tape is running the whole time. And then after the interaction is over, we go up and we type it up in our office.
And how long has the White House employed stenographers for?
My boss has been there since the Reagan administration, so we're hired to be impartial. Whenever we type up a transcript, there's at least 2 sets of eyes on it and 2 sets of ears so that we have lots of witnesses to exactly what was said. We can double check the audio as many times as we want.
And you were employed from one administration to the next. You're not partial, so normally you'd go from the Obama administration to the Trump administration and stay. You didn't. Why not?
Exactly. So my boss had stayed since Reagan through the beginning of the Trump administration. I began under President Obama. I stayed for 2 months with President Trump and left in large part because they weren't utilizing us the way that the White House had always utilized its stenographers. We were always in the room whenever press was in the room, and under the Trump administration, we weren't even notified when he was meeting with press. So he had an interview with ABC, and we were not notified. We found it, we saw it on television, and it's a dangerous thing because that leaves the president vulnerable to being misquoted. And also, there's protocol. We're responsible for transcribing it and giving it to the press office as well as the presidential archive.
So here's the funny thing, Beck. Donald Trump comes over here to Britain last week and says some fairly disparaging things about Theresa May's plan for Brexit. The next day, he denies ever having said them and declares that recordings of the interview would vindicate him. But you're saying that he doesn't like these recordings.
Right, that's so interesting, because if a stenographer had been in the room, which there might have been, then that means there's a transcript, and then if he was not worried about being misquoted, he could just hold up the transcript and say, here's the official White House transcript. As it is, he's intentionally muddling the truth by not coming forward with the transcript and by not allowing stenographers in the room when he's in the room with press.
So here is a man who pointedly picks on the fake media, the fake news media, who could very easily point to what is true and what is not, but you're saying that he doesn't ever want that transcript because, what? It might point to some of the whoppers that he tells?
Exactly. He intentionally muddles the truth by not having a stenographer in the room. He allows himself a ton of latitude to say whatever he wants and then be able to backtrack it because there's no transcript, or at least he's not coming forward with the official transcript.
Well, maybe he just doesn't like microphones. I mean, lots of people don't like microphones being shoved in their faces.
Yes, lots of people don't like microphones, but when you're president, you have to get used to a lot of things you don't like. And especially on Air Force One, if you want to be heard over the roar of the engine, it's a beautiful plane, but it's a loud plane. And so to be properly recorded, you have to get used to a microphone.
Former White House stenographer Beck Dorey-Stein there with her insights.